Welcome back, mamas. Y'all, today we are going to go deeper on what we talked about on Tuesday. We asked a question on Tuesday that I wanted you to ponder, which was just, are you doing all of the things because you feel like you have to prove your worth? Do you feel like you are enough when you do all of the things, right? I want to go deeper on what shifts you might be able to make to your mindset to not feel the need to strive for all of the things, right? And where you can just enjoy and have the best summer ever. So let's get to it. Do you wish you had control of your days, that you had a rhythm, but instead feel overwhelmed, scattered, and like there's never enough time? You're in the right place. I'm Danielle, a recovering workaholic, wife, and stay-at-home mom of 2 girls. I've learned how to reclaim my time and find purpose and freedom so I can be present with my kids and feel like myself again. Here, we embrace where we are, but we don't stay there. So if you're ready to trade the chaos for clarity, the guilt for grace, and the endless to-do list for aligned flow, grab the kiddos a snack and toss in that laundry because I know you're multitasking, and let's do this because your time, your purpose, and you matter. Okay, mamas. So if you are anything like me, you have felt like you have to prove your worth in one way, shape, or form because you feel like you are not living up to a version of motherhood, maybe wifehood, maybe friendship, whatever it is that you are not living up to because you are not doing enough. We feel as moms a lot of times like we are not doing enough because we have a laundry list of things to get done, and then all of these things that we feel like we should be doing, as well as things that we want to do, right? And so we feel like we have to say yes, and we have to do all of these things in order to prove that we are enough. And so what can we do to enjoy ourselves? What can we do to be able to be present in our moments, to be able to enjoy this summer, to be able to really feel like we are enough just because we are, not because of something that we've done, right? I have a quote that I want to share with you. This one is from Max Lucado that says, "You are valuable simply because you exist, not because of what you do or what you have done, but simply because you are." You are. You are valuable because you exist, right? That is what you are. And when we feel like we are less than in some way, shape, or form, we try to do all of these things in order to fill that void that we're feeling like we're not enough. And I know for me, when I look back on this and I felt like I was not enough, it was because I was not happy. I was not feeling fulfilled in my motherhood role the way that I thought I would when I was doing it. So I was doing all of the things. I was thinking that I had all of the things that I wanted, but for some reason, I still was feeling this void. I still was not quite happy, and I didn't know why. And I felt like I wasn't a good enough mom, friend, wife, daughter, insert the thing. I felt like I wasn't living up to any of those things in the way that I wanted to. So in order to feel enough, I decided that I needed to do all of these things to prove, right? I was striving, just trying to do, which there's nothing wrong with striving in a certain way, right? Like you can strive to be a better version of yourself. You can strive, to grow and to become better. That is great. But when you're striving for this perfection, or when you're striving to try to prove something, instead of really knowing your worth, you're trying to prove it, right? And this is where we have to take a step back and look at our children, right? Our children are worthy just because they are. We love them. They are our children. They are worthy of our love. They are worthy of our affection. They are worthy just because they are, right? They don't have to prove anything to us. There are some times, right, when we would like them to prove that they have manners or things like that, right? But that is completely different than them having to prove something in order to be loved, right? In order to be validated in who they are. And so you aren't any different. right? You are not any different. I have a quote here from Harriet Breaker that says, striving for excellence motivates you. Striving for perfection is demoralizing. Striving to be better, striving for excellence, it can be motivating. But when you're striving for perfection, you wind up feeling worse because there is no such thing as perfection, right? And that's sometimes what we feel like we might be missing is that we are good enough, right? We are a good enough mom. We are not doing enough in this area or that area. Whatever it is, I guarantee you, you have one or more areas that you feel like you're lacking in. And a lot of times I feel like what we do as moms is we try to fill that space. We try to fill that void with all of these things that we commit ourselves to, that we try to fit into our schedule in order to prove this. And what I want you to recognize is that you don't need to prove anything to anybody. But honestly, most of all, you don't need to prove anything to yourself. That is typically the person that is the one who is being the most judgmental of you is you. And so also for someone like me, who especially I had a sales background, like I was very much a workaholic. I was in my career, I was successful, whatever that means. But success is in the eye of the beholder, right? Success is something that you may have puffed up to be this thing in your head of what a successful mother looks like, right? Or what a successful family looks like, or what a successful household looks like, right? And now that you have kids, that may need to shift a little bit, right? That may need to shift. Albert Einstein said, strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. Strive not to be a success. Like we're not trying to prove anything to anyone, right? But strive to be of value. Strive to be of value to your children, to your family, to, your friends, whoever it is that you feel like you're lacking. Strive to be of value to that person, but don't feel like you have to do all of these things to prove that worth. Do not try to live up to this success and what that looks like. If you are a good friend, you are doing this, right? Like if you've had a version of friendship before children or of, what it looked like to be a wife or what it looked like to have a clean house before children, you might need to take a step back and reevaluate now that you have the children, because you cannot be all the things to all the people. And when you are doing all of this to try to prove your worth, it winds up wearing you down. It is overwhelming. You are weighed down by all of these expectations that you feel like you have to live up to. And most of them are in your head, right? And so I just want to tell you today, number one, that you are worthy, right? Just because you are, not because of what you're doing or what you're not doing. Right? Not because of that, but because of who you are. And who are you? Well, that may have changed since you had children as well, right? You are a mom, you are a wife, you are a friend, you are all of these things and more, right? But you have to take a step back and get clear on who you are now, on what is important to you now. This is the work that we do in my coaching. This is what I talk about all of the time, is building this foundation. But I really wanted to talk to you this week about what you can do this summer. Number one, change your mindset, right? But what else can you do? What else can you do? I will tell you what I have done with my kids this year is we have sat down and we have made a bucket list. And so for me, this looks like I have given them a pen and paper and told them to come up with a bucket list, and I have come up with my own. But for you, it might look like sitting down with your child and you guys thinking about things that you would like to have on your bucket list to do this summer together. Like, get creative, come up with fun things that you guys can do together as a family, or just you and the kids, or just make a list. Do not judge it in the moment. Just make a list. It might not all get done, but it might. And if you don't write it down, it's most likely definitely not going to get done, right? But if you write it down, and then what I did is I made a calendar and it was a calendar for the rest of the summer, right? So how many days do we have left? And at the time we had like 70 something days left of summer. And at the time of this podcast, you still probably have almost 70 days left of the summer, like maybe 60 something, right? But you have a good chunk of summer left, and you can get a lot accomplished when you write it down, when you make a plan, right? We talk about planning all of the time, and it is so important because when we take the time to really think about what it is that we're going to enjoy, and we think about what it is that we want to do, then we can go and we can look at that. Now, you can do it in many ways. Like you can take and decide ahead of time. Like you can say, okay, we have this much time left of the summer, and we're going to do, 3 or 4 of these bucket list things every week, or we're going to do 2 of them every week, or however many there are. You can decide how many you would like to do, and don't feel pressure to get them all done at the beginning of summer. And also, I set the expectation up front of let's prioritize these, because if we don't prioritize them, then I won't know which ones you guys really, really want to do, and then which ones are kind of like, okay, I would love it if we could do this, but this one is more important to me. And so once you prioritize them, you can try to do those things that are a higher priority before you do some of the things that have a lower priority, right? So that you can make sure that everyone has fun and that everyone gets what they want to out of this summer. And you can look back and be like, gosh, we got all of our bucket list done, or we got almost all of our bucket list done. But if you don't make the list, then a lot of times, number one, you won't even know really what they want or what they think is a successful summer, what successful summer looks like to them. And number two, it gives you the opportunity to also say what you want. Like, what is it that would make summer successful for you as well? And that can look like maybe, you taking some time for yourself every day to dream, to pray, to work out, to whatever it is that is important to you and whatever you're feeling like would fill your cup. And then they will know what it is that you want to do with your summer as well. And you can make it really fun. I know that last year when we did this, one of my daughters loves soft serve ice cream. And I also love soft serve ice cream. And so she was like, I want to get soft serve ice cream was one of her things. And I was like, ooh, let's make a day trip of that. Like, let's go try different soft serve ice creams at different places around town, and like we decided actually to wind up doing it over a couple of days because we didn't want to eat like that much soft serve ice cream in one day and get sick. But it was a really fun idea. And it was something that we would have never, ever done had we not had the bucket list, right? We never would have thought of that. But you may not be surprised to hear me say, that you need to plan, right? You need to actually take the time to plan and to write this stuff down and then to prioritize it so that you can enjoy this summer and so that you don't have to feel this pressure to do all of these things that really might not be all that important to you guys. But when you don't think about it, when you don't take the time, then when something comes up, so just as an example, if someone, calls and says, hey, we're going to do this today, and that sounds like great, you can go and do that if you'd like. But also, if you really have taken the time to do this, you can be like, oh, actually, we're going to do this instead today. And you can invite them if you'd like, but you have taken the time. And instead of just feeling like you don't want to say no to something and you don't want to miss out on some fun, when you've taken the time to take a stock and an inventory of what it is that you guys would even want to do, you can look at that list and you can look back and say, okay, we know we're going to do these things this week. Like, do we really need to do something else today? Like something that's more productive? We can say no to that and know that we're going to have fun. This is also a good way where you can, look at your weeks and look at that bucket list. And, I'm a big advocate for preparing, right? For preparation, for prioritizing, for all of these things. And you can plan it out kind of, but then when it gets into the week, we all know that things don't always go as planned. And you can always go and do this or that or the other thing. And you can can be a fly by the seat of your pants type of a person still and also plan, because that's the type of person that I am. I do both. I like to be able to do both. But what happens is if you don't take the time to do this kind of thing on the front end, then you get sucked in and you start saying yes to all of the things because you don't even know what success looks like, right? You don't even know what it is that you are trying to accomplish. You just feel like what you're trying to accomplish is being good enough, right? You are trying to be all of the things to all of the people so that you can be good enough, right? But when we've taken the time to get still, to get clear, to do some of this work on the front end, we are able to enjoy our days, our lives much better. And we are able to feel more secure and more fulfilled knowing that we are doing enough, right? That we are doing a good job, because I bet you're already doing a good job. And I know you are already enough, but you can feel like you're not enough and feel like you're not doing a good enough job when you don't do some of this work. When you don't do some of this work that I'm always talking about, you can get caught in that trap. And it is mostly in your mindset, right? And so when we take a little bit of a shift and then we take a little bit of time, it really doesn't have to take that long. You will be surprised. And you can always add to the bucket list. Right? Like if you make the bucket list and then they forgot something, whatever, just add to it. My kids haven't added to anything to ours though. We made it about a week ago and there's nothing that has been added. I think they added one or two things, maybe like a day or two later. But ever since then, it's not like they've come up with all of these new ideas. And we're already knocking things off the bucket list to the point where we actually will probably do some of the things that are on the bucket list multiple times. And I think I mentioned on Tuesday, it's not like you have to do less, right? I'm not saying you have to just sit around all the time or take all this time planning because, you don't need to do all of these things. I like to go. I still like to go, but I don't like to be stressed when I'm doing it. Right? And you can feel much more secure and much less stressed when you do this kind of planning, because the reason that you are stressed is not necessarily because of the amount of things you're doing. It's actually because you're doing too little of what brings you joy. It's because you're filling your time with all of these things that aren't actually important to you. And they might be kind of fun in the moment, and you might think that they're going to be fun. They might sound great and whatever. But when you take the time to do this work on the front end, you're going to feel so much more alive. You're going to feel so much more fulfilled. You are going to feel so different when you take the time to plan. You are going to feel so much less stressed when you are doing things, even if you're doing all the things still, right? Like even if you're doing a lot of things, you are going to feel so much less stressed because you're doing things that actually bring you joy and that fill your cup, as opposed to things that are draining you. I hope that makes sense, because it is a little shift, but it makes all of the difference. So even if you haven't done the work that I always talk about, right, which is building this foundation, figuring out what is important to you at this point in your life and why, take the time and do the bucket list with your kids, right? Do this for this summer. And I promise you, if you do this list and then plan it out, prioritize it, you will feel so much less pressure and less stressed when you are going about your days, because you know that this list, these fun things, these things that you know are going to bring you joy, you guys are going to do them. Now, if you have like a bucket list of like 70 things and, you're trying to fit one thing in every day, you are going to wind up stressed. So let's not get too crazy with the bucket list. Let's keep the bucket list to about half of the number of days, right? Because there's days where you might be able to get 2 of the bucket list things done, or some of them might overlap a lot of times. But I think we only have like 25, maybe 30. I didn't count them, but I know that we have already been crossing things off, and I know that we will have time to do multiple things. And I know we have crossed off more than one thing in a day before too. So it all depends on you, but try not to make this an overwhelming task, right? Like just sit there, don't judge it, write it out, take off some craziness that, like if they say, we want to go to Disney and a trip to Florida is not in your future, you are not going to say that's a realistic thing that should go on the bucket list, because you don't want to get to the end of summer and look at this list and be like, oh, we didn't get to do that and we didn't get to do that and whatever, right? Like you want to put realistic things on the bucket list. That's something I guess I should have mentioned, right? But I encourage you to do this activity and to see how it works for you guys. I really believe it will bring you a lot of joy and will make your days this summer so much less stressful. And you will be able to feel like you don't have to do all of the things in order to live up to being that good enough mom, right? You will not have to say yes to things that you don't really want to say yes to just by doing this one exercise, okay? See how it works for you. I would love to hear about it. I would also love to help you with all of that foundational work that we talk about all of the time. I would love to help you figure out who you are now that you're a mom and what that looks like in your life, how it can play out for you so that you can move forward, so that you can be the best version of you that you want to be. So please go to Prioritize with Purpose, prioritizewithpurpose.com, sign up for a coaching session. I would love to help you walk that out. And I will meet you right back here next week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Mama. If so, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and then hit share and send this to a mom who needs this in her day. I'll meet you right back here next week. Keep smiling, y'all.